God, that was a bit of a walk. Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Today I'm fishing on the Basingstoke Canal here in Dogmersfield. Now I fished the Basingstoke Canal loads and loads of time in the past. I come from Basingstoke, I fished loads of areas of the Basingstoke Canal, particularly nearer to Basingstoke. But I've never actually been here. This is, well, I'm going to call it Blacksmith's Bridge, because it is Blacksmith's Bridge I'm on, but this section of the canal I'm going to call Blacksmith's Bridge as well. It's got a nice little sort of turning point. That's the actual canal going down that way, look. That over there is a little turning point, winding point, whatever you want to call it, for canal boats to turn around. And despite the fact I have a lot of knowledge of the Basingstoke Canal and know how difficult it is mostly, but know where the fish are likely to be, I'll come to this place because I've never been here before. It's right close to Basingstoke, and I've never been to this section of the canal before, which is weird, as it is so close. I don't know why I haven't. But it's got a lovely little pool there, where on this cold day, hopefully a few silverfish have balled up. There might even be a few pike in there. Not that I'm pike fishing today, I'm just float fishing. But hopefully a few silverfish have balled up in this little bay just behind me here. And hopefully we'll winkle a few out with a few maggots. Anyway, there's no time like the present. Let's get going. It might warm me up a little bit. I'm pretty warm from the walk. And see if we can catch a few silverfish or perch or just anything. Let's see if we can catch something other than a cold. That's the most important thing. There we go, all set up, all cast out, baits out, floats out. Let's get a fish out. It's a bit tricky to see the float actually. Well, it is and it isn't. There's actually a slight tow on the canal going back direction, ever so slight, and the float's just sort of very slowly bobbing along, so I've had to adjust the depth so it just catches bottom a little bit. But every now and then it just uncatches, and there's a sort of a tree covered in ivy on the far bank, which is casting a nice shadow, and I can see the float perfectly when it's in the shadow. But as it drifts beyond the shadow, that's it, I can't see it because the sun isn't bright, but the reflection of the it on the water means the float's a little bit difficult to see. But we'll see how it goes. Be really far into the turnaround. It's really shallow and it's very, very weedy. I've just cast a few lines through it and brought back a ton of weed. So I've just come a little bit closer, just so where the turnaround point goes along like that, it just drops off a little bit as it heads onto the main bit of canal. And I'm fishing just the bottom, about a little drop off. Whether that's a good idea, I don't know. But any fish moving up and down will probably be following that line. And hopefully any fish which are in there in the weed will come out and hopefully come and see me. We shall see. In fact, the float just done a thing then. No, it's a little bit soon. I haven't really spent a lot of time feeding the swim yet, and it's been blisteringly cold this morning, so it'll take a while for the fish to get moving. So I really can't expect anything sort of to happen too quickly. But he who dares wins. Let's see if we can win. Just want a little fish. Not after anything big today, just after little tiddly tiddlers. Just to sort of whet the appetite and wet the net. So we'll see what happens. Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot. This is a beautifully quiet section of the canal. I know it's early spring. In fact, close season is looming on the Basingstoke Canal. It's a site of scientific interest, where special, you know, the SSII, you know, it's a special scientific interest area, but it's got lots of wildlife and history about it. This section is gorgeous. Look even better in it when the trees are out, I suppose. But it's very, very peaceful. Blacksmith's Bridge there was built in 1792, I think. Yes, 1792, and sort of repaired sort of in the 1972, was it? I can't remember now, but it's been repaired since. So it's been there a blooming long time. It serves to, it used to serve, I don't know if it still does, I imagine it does, for access either side of a canal for the Dogmersfield Park estate, which is where I kind of am in, what's behind me and in front of me. And across the far side there, I don't know if you can see, oh yeah, just about, these little pillars here are anti-tank devices which they put there during the war. And this is actually a little private wharf which served the estate as well. It's always nice and peaceful on the canal. The Basingstoke Canal anyway. I've been to plenty of other canals and it's super busy. And as you travel further on up the canal towards like the Thames, it does get a lot busier, especially with boat traffic. But down this end of the canal, it's usually fairly peaceful. However, it's a bit peaceful on the fish front as well. Now, I'm not expecting a huge amount of fish from here today. In fact, the Basingstoke Canal has a reputation for being very, very difficult to fish. Well, not to fish, but to catch fish on, what I mean to say. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it has its really, really bad days fishing on it. I would even, having fished it so much, I would say that 1 in every 10 days is a really good day. But you've got to get through the other 9 days. You've got to fish through the lulls. And on a cold day like today, I'm really only looking at catching small fish. However, I think a lot of the negativity comes from anglers wanting to catch big fish, and there are some whopping great big fish in here. You know, big perch and big carp and tench and roach. In fact, my personal best rudd comes from the Basingstoke Canal. But I think the mentality is you've got to change that mindset from catching big fish, and then if not catching a big fish, you've had a bad day, to I'm going to catch small fish and I'll have a good day. Today my mentality is I just want to catch a fish this big. So if I get that, it's been a good day. Today isn't really about the fishing, although I am fishing. It's more about being out in the peace and quiet and having a good relax, and just visiting this new spot, and maybe later on I'll visit an old haunt, who knows. But just being outside and peace and relaxation, that's what it's all about today. There are a few fish there, but they're doing me. They're doing me a good one. They're not playing ball. Oh, I've got a bit of a tangle here. There we go. They're very, very shy biters, and they're not, for whatever reason, taking the hook. I think that will be my last casting back in again. I've been here for a couple of hours, and I'll admit, I've kind of lost myself in the place, to be honest. I've been watching a few squirrels running up and down the trees over here. There's been a woodpecker over in the trees on the far bank there, a bit further down. And I've been watching them and listening to them and just getting a little bit lost. But I am supposed to be here catching fish. He says there's another little nibble on the float. You know, when you decide, oh, actually I'm going to move on, that's when the fish start to do stuff. But I don't think today this is the spot. I'm sure there are fish out there. In fact, I've seen fish out there, but we've been on the surface and I've missed a couple of fish. I don't think they've been of any size. But again, that's not what it's about today. It's about just being outside and relaxing and trying at least to land a couple of fish. It's slightly going again. No. Okay. Yeah, they're sort of playing me up a little bit. So once I've left this out here for 5, maybe 10 minutes, we'll see. I'm going to pack everything up and head down the canal up the canal, down the canal. We've had this before. Up and down, I don't know. But I'm going to head to another spot which I know, which usually has a few fish. I mean, you can't blame the fish. The conditions, although quite pleasant now, was awful this morning. Really, really, really cold fog. And so the water's bound to be quite cold, and so are the fish. Literally the worst conditions to come out fishing on the Basingstoke Canal. For float fishing or feeder fishing anyway. Maybe I'd have done alright if I'd have bought a dead bait for a pike. Or maybe in a few lures. But you don't know unless you go. And I'm here, and now I know. I know now, but I'm going to be moving on. And there we are, finally, at the end of the walk is the next winding hole, turnaround point, whatever you want to call it. It's only about, I don't know, what, 45 minutes? What's that? About just over a mile from Dogmersfield all the way here to Crookham Village. And here is another winding hole. Look at that. And whoever lives in that house there, God, if they aren't an angler, they're missing out, aren't they? What an absolutely stunning setting. During the walk, the sun's decided it's going to come out. No more fog for me. There's a few fish moving, but over there, not actually where I'm casting, which is a bit of a pain. But it doesn't mean I can't move. I like this spot because it's nice and open above me. There's no trees overhanging, whereas there are quite a few overhanging trees further on down here, which means I can get a good cast out to where I need to be, which again is just on that drop off. I mean, I know it's a winding hole and it goes outwards, but just on that edge, I know fish tend to move along, if there are any fish moving along, which I hope there are. Of course, the downside is still the weather. It's still the weather. Although it's lovely and sunny now, but it was freezing cold and foggy this morning, and for it to go from really bitterly cold, like 0, to this gorgeous heat, and I've had to take my blooming I had layers and layers and layers on. I don't even need this really, but I'm so bald that I'm going to burn in this. Hang on, I'll do. I really should have bought my flat cap, but I didn't. It was so cold this morning. I was like, no, I'm not going to sit out in that with a flat cap on. But never mind. Can't complain, although I do complain. I hate the hot weather. Anyone who knows me knows I hate heat. I much prefer fishing in the winter. Autumn, winter, spring. Well, it is spring. God, there's some bubbles coming up there as well. Oh, come on, this has got to have a few fish in it. The other place was fantastic. It definitely had a few fish in there. But this has got to have some catchable fish in it, surely. Please. But even if not, I mean, what a glorious place to sit. Look at that. And enjoy the rest of the day's fishing. Well, the afternoon into evening maybe. I might have to go and investigate those bubbles. You know, if you see fish bubbling on the top, I always say go for it. I know I'm sat here ready to fish. In fact, I'm already fishing. I'm just out there. But if you see bubbles moving, fish moving, you've got to go and investigate them. 100%. Get yourself off your bum and go and take your rod for a little walk and see if you can't entice whatever it is making the disturbance. If those bubbles go again, I'm getting up and I'm walking. I'll keep an eye. I'm watching you. Ah, beautiful. The bridge, incidentally, is Chequers Bridge, and same as Blacksmith's Bridge over in Dogmersfield, was built in 1792. It was restored, as you can tell. It's a little bit different to the other one, a bit more recently, but they're both Grade 2 listed bridges. So the foundations of that bridge, at least, are very old and very cared for and looked after. Lovely. I actually just call this the Chequers Bridge turnaround point. That's what I call this little area. I don't know what other people call it. But again, it's another space where canal boats can turn around, a nice winding hole, and carry on back where they came from, I guess, if they're turning around. But it's, again, another spot where fish are likely to hold, particularly in the winter months when it's colder. The main sections of the Basingstoke Canal, the straight paths, do hold fish, but there's not very many fish holding areas in them. You're more likely to pick fish up that are moving up and down. But the bays do tend to attract a few more fish. It's where the most weed grows, and it's also where the fish go to breed. It's also where the pike go to feed, and the perch. But we shall see. We'll see yet again. The weather may have scuppered it, but we shall see. We've got to catch a fish today, surely, of some sort. Surely. Don't call me surely. Oh, never mind. It's still an absolutely glorious day. I've recently got over COVID, and a bit of sunshine, a bit of outside world. It's exactly what I need. Ah, cure me. It's doing just that. God, I wish I bought some glasses though. This sun is beating down. I wasn't expecting it to be sunny. Look at my weather forecast. It's meant to be overcast today. Should have bought some tan lotion. Be like a beetroot at the end of this. Oh. Well, it's been one of those days. I literally cannot buy a fish. not for trying. I've been baiting up the swim ahead of me. It's a good spot. It's a bit weedy, but it's a good spot. I've even been baiting up in the margins, just down here, and not a sausage, which could be the problem because I'm not after sausages. Got another hour or so before I call it time, but that's fishing, isn't it? Well, I don't really like to call it fishing. I prefer to call it angling, because that's what I've been doing all day, angling and angling and angling. Fishing implies you're going to catch fish, and that's not always the case. There's been countless numbers of videos which I've filmed, much like this one, since I've started up the channel, and I've caught nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. Now, more often than not, I just don't release them. I don't put them out. Not at all. Or I think once or twice I may have integrated them into other videos. Just to sort of show sometimes you're not going to catch a fish. That's it. That's how it always is. Even the best angler can get out there onto a piece of water and not catch a fish. And I am certainly not one of the best anglers out there. I'm just an all-round, average, everyday angler. Much like all of you guys watching, if you are anglers, of course. And this is the reality of it. Absolutely the reality of fishing. Sometimes, no matter what you do, no matter what you try, no matter where you go to, no matter how many times you move, you blank. You're a complete blanker. But do I get sad and upset by it? No, of course not. Absolutely, of course not. I've always said all the way along, all of my fishing, ever since I was a kid, that if you're going fishing to catch fish, and you think it's just about catching fish, you've got it entirely wrong. Entirely wrong. That's not why we come out at all. In fact, catching a fish is the bonus. It's the secondary sort of thing to it, really. The most primary thing to angling is getting outside, having the peace and relaxation, getting the fresh air, seeing the beauty of nature and wildlife around you, watching the wildlife, and learning, always learning more and more about the sport. If it's a sport, pastime, if it's a pastime, I've never really known. For me, it's just relaxation. It's about relaxation. It's about dealing with that mental health, getting out there, getting a bit of sun, a bit of air, maybe, if you're lucky, getting that bonus prize of actually catching a fish. So am I despondent? Am I like, oh god, what a rubbish day? No, not in the slightest. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed every single second of it, and I'm going to enjoy the next hour as well, whether I catch a fish or not. End of the day, I reckon. A complete blanker. I've tried all sorts. I mean, I've only got maggots, but I've got a bit of ground bait. I've ground baited an area. I've, fished up in the water. I fished on the bottom. I fished completely over depth. I've tried different areas. I've tried the margins. I've even moved from up in Dogmersfield and come all the way down here to Crookham Village. I'm just trying to think of anything else I can do. In the last half an hour, it shows me on my phone. But I've got a plan. I will not be beaten. I will catch me a fish out of this canal. May not be with a rod, but I'm going to have a go at sweeping through the water with my net, because I know I've seen that there are fish here. They may be very, very small. And I'm talking very, very small. They will probably go through the holes in the net. but I reckon I can turn this day from being a complete blank into having a bag full of fish. Let's give it a go. Am I a complete blanker today? Hell no! There's no keeping a good piscator down. Have a look at this haul. Check them out, guys. Roach o'clock. How about that? Not the biggest fish of the day, but certainly some of the absolute cutest little fish. Look at them. It's about a week away from the canal close seasons, when the rivers close and the Basingstoke Canal closes as well. The idea of which to allow the fish to spawn and make lots and lots of little baby fish. These are little roach fry, and these haven't got the memo that the canal needs to be closed to spawn. Actually, roach do tend to breed around February sort of time. And here is a lovely shoal of beautiful roach. It would be extremely tempting, wouldn't it, to gather these up, pop them in a little fish tank at home, feed them up, watch them grow, and then bring them back down and release them back into the water. But this, despite the fact they've been netted out and chucked into a tub, this is about as safe as they're ever going to be, because when they go back into that water, it's full of perch and pike and all sorts of things that are going to enjoy eating them. Look at them. Oh, aren't they cute? Little roach fry. But no blanking today, guys. Technically, I've managed to catch some fish. And what amazing little fish they are. So cute. Oh my word, look at them. Fantastic. But there's a will, there's a way. And there's always a way. Look at that. Well, Piscator pals, that is the end of the day for me. I'm done. That's been a really long day and really hard, but I haven't blanked, and that is the key to this place. Right by the road bridge. Here comes a car. Hold on. Free cars. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Anyway, this is obviously one of those days on the canal, like I was talking about. We have one good day and nine really bad days. It's one of those bad days. It's just how it goes. But where there's a will's a way, and you will always catch fish. Those little teeny tiny roach have saved me from catching nothing at all day long. But what a fantastic canal the Basingstoke Canal is. Still one of my favourite places to come to. Completely underrated, and there are some big donkey fish in here. There's, you know, pike to God knows what. In fact, my biggest ever pike has come from here, and my biggest ever rudd has come from here. They still hold my PBs, so it's a really fantastic venue. Anyway, like this video if you've liked it, subscribe to the Passionate Piscator YouTube channel for more tiny fish action, and I will see you again next time on the bank. Bye.